Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our latest episode of The Growth Playbook with myself, Kim Clark, and my dad, Alan Bolio. Today, we're going to talk about small businesses, a passion of both of ours. Dad has looked up a lot of different stats. Troubling but expected at the same time, for a lot of varying reasons, and just looking forward to discussing further how small businesses can try to combat some of the issues that they run into when they're first starting out and then while they're on their growth journey. So, Dad, thanks for thinking of this topic for us to chat through today. I've been looking forward to it.
No, thanks, Kim. And I like talking about it too. And there are a lot of different aspects that. Let's talk about the importance first. All right. The source for this is the Small Business Administration. According to the SBA, 99.9% of all businesses in the United States are small businesses. Now, we tend to think of those as one or two people, but you can have a lot of employees and be counted as a small business. But most of them have no employees or a couple of employees. Small businesses, and I'm reading over here so I don't get it wrong, create 101.5 million jobs annually, or 64% of all new jobs. So this is an extremely important part of the economy that we're dealing with. And 85.8% of these businesses we're talking about are called solopreneurs, and 55% of them operate from homes. So, I mean, and those are lifestyle businesses, which is good. We both like lifestyle businesses. You're not building something that is going to be saleable in the future, really, because you get a multiple on your EBITDA when you're much larger than, a $500,000 business. Um, but you're living a nice life, and that's all you want. When you're old, just you're done, or you hopefully have a kid who wants to continue it on, or something like that, or an apprentice or something. But if you want to build something to a million and then to 10 million and above, it's hard. I'm going to read this. Less than 10% of startup businesses reach their $1 million annual revenue. Less than 1% of these companies hit their $10 million mark. So only 0.4% of startups reach $10 million.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I've talked to a lot of people that kind of get the idea that growing a business is easy, starting a business is easy. I know somebody wants to write a book because he started a business, grew it to a couple million, and thought, I'd write a book because everybody's going to want to know that. And I'm thinking, uh, never mind what I was thinking, but
We could tell by your look on your face.
it's, it's not easy. And you and I both know it takes the right product or service. You have to have something the consumer wants to buy or a business wants to buy, who is your consumer. You have to have a customer. And then you have to have a quality. And then you have to have a pricing program. And you have to have a scalability program. And you have to be able to manage people and lead. So an engineer who came up with a great widget may not be the person that can do more than come up with a great widget. It could drive that business out of business in 6 months because of the lack of the other things. I mean, it's truly a very talented person who can start a business, an embryo, and grow it into a $10 million business. That is an amazing thing. And our hats are off to that person.
Mhm.
Now, correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think one of the things that that person has to do to grow from no sales to $10 million in sales is be willing to change. If you're not willing to change as you grow, you're not going to make it, because it can take years, it can take a couple of years, but you as a person have to change because the demands on you are going to change. If you have to have your face in every part of the business as you're growing from 100,000 to 10 million, you're not going to do that. You're not going to make it to 10 million because you're just not capable of it. You're not capable of running the finances and the banking relationships and the marketing and everything else that's involved. So if you're not willing to delegate, if you're not willing to change and adjust, you're just not going to make it. I think that's a simple one. One of the ones that I want to talk to you about, Kim, is that one of the major reasons given why businesses don't grow is because that entrepreneur does really well with his or her given network that has no idea how to grow the network. I mean, they have their customer base that has them at 600,000 a year to make up a number that they have no idea how to get beyond that. They want to build something because they really believe in what they do. They believe that what they are providing is important. They believe that they can do good jobs and provide good jobs to people. They want to do this, but they have no idea. The leadership question is maybe beyond them. You handle that by hiring the manager sometimes, or the CEO, or the CFO, or somebody that you need as you get bigger. But in that stage in between where you need more contacts, you need to increase your network, most people are like, how do I do that? Why aren't they coming to me? Maybe I'll put an ad on Facebook. That'll do it. I'll put an ad on Facebook, or I'll put up a billboard. That'll take care of it. And obviously, we know it's a lot more complicated than that. But that is one of the biggest failures of businesses is that they just don't know how to handle or promote growth. Handle it or promote it. Help us with promoting it first. You're a small
Um,
business, so you don't have much money.
yeah, and I don't think it requires much money. It just requires a solid business plan and a certain order of operations that's not dependent upon your immediate social circle that's helped you grow to where you are today. So a lot of that is, yeah.
You already said a term I think a lot of small businesses would be s- stumbling on.
Okay, what's that?
I need a business plan. What are you talking about? I need a business plan. What's a business plan? I do this, I do this. I don't have a plan. And there are a lot of people who don't have a business plan. So maybe you should first tell everybody what a business plan is. And if you're very experienced, I apologize for the simplicity of that, but let's be inclusive today and don't have
Well,
one.
your head went just where my head went. That's where I was diving into. So what is
Oh, I'm
that?
sorry. I
No,
apologize.
no, 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 you're fine because you're right. I would say most of the people that I run into don't. They say this is the way that I've always done it. This is the way that I've always grown. And it's been more so by happenstance than with intention. Um, and that's a big difference, growing by happenstance, than it is intentionally putting your foot in front of the other and knowing why you're putting your feet the way that you are in front of each other is going to move you in a specific direction. And that is the intention of what sounds so simple as a business plan. It is very complex. It can feel very overwhelming because it's not necessarily something that entrepreneurs are inherently good at doing. It's a different way of looking at your business. You have to step out of your business and look at it from the outside in instead of being inside it. And so I would say when I say business plan, it starts with a thoughtful brain exercise of why did I start what I started? Is a fundamental, a crucial question to start the conversation with, and then documenting that, writing it down. And that's your starting point. This is why I started the business. How am I different than other people that are doing similar things to me? And then writing that down and then testing it out. Go to the competitors' websites, go talk to people, your customers who have also purchased similar things in the past from other people, hear from them, look in the different competitor sites and find what truly makes you different in the marketplace, and then write that down. And then from there, your next step is really looking at, well, I now know what I do and how it is unique. Who best fits what it is that I do? Because this is another common pitfall that I find with business owners is that they're like, well, I could sell to entrepreneurs, I could sell to stay-at-home moms, I could sell to um, the dad who doesn't do X, Y, and Z, whatever they can, and they end up saying like 15 different types of people they could sell to. And traditionally, as you start out a business, that's exactly what you're doing. You're selling to anybody who says, yeah, actually, I'll work with you. I need that versus with intention saying this is the ideal person, the characteristics, the motivations, the demotivations, the thought process, the anxieties, the stress, the things that make them happy. This is the ideal person that I then need to target and consider. It's called an ICP, an ideal customer profile. And so that is your center of your bullseye. Everybody else that can and has and most likely will at some point purchase from you is your outer ring on your target. But that is that's your bullseye mark. And that person is going to have higher conversion rates. That person is going to have longer retention. That person is going to give you more value over the lifetime of them working with you. So it's that person is the person that you need to go after. And again, most small businesses don't take the time to figure that out. They just take the people as they come their way. And it is a crucial step in that order. Why did you start your business? Who are you? What makes you unique in the marketplace? And then what is that very dialed in ideal customer that 110% matches your uniques and what makes you special? Like that's an exercise that most business leaders do not go through, and they just grow by happenstance versus with intention.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And that ICP, you got to dive into uh, what do they want? I mean, you may have, I, I had a friend of mine who developed something new and unique 10 years before it was needed in the marketplace. You know, it was a great idea, but the market wasn't ready for it. You know, your ICP, do they want it? Do they need it? Or do you need to teach them and educate them why they need it? I mean, those are all questions that need to be answered, right? It's just, hey, I got this really great thing. You're my ideal customer. How much do you want to buy? You know,
Well,
it's
and
just,
that wouldn't really make them your ideal customer. And a lot of people actually think that, like, I need to figure out who my ideal customer is, and then I figure out the what I am, the who I am, the what makes me unique to match that
okay.
person. But I can see that when you're already a business up and running and you're looking to launch a new product. That thought process makes more sense. Like you have to find what the market demands and then meet with the market. But often I find an entrepreneur who has an idea or a widget or a shtick of some kind that's theirs, and they're saying, I know there's value to this because people have told me there's value to this. So now I started my business and I'm doing this. And in that case, the thing already exists. And it's up to you to figure out why that, what makes that thing special, which is that competitor analysis and the differentiators and all of that. And then you have the whole sea of client capability, like possibilities out there, and you need to pull out the very specific subgroup that that thing is going to resonate with. So it is backwards than when you're already a pre-existing company and you're launching a new product.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, oversimplification, you say so, you have to understand you cannot be all things to all people.
Hmm.
You may be, you may conceptually think that you can have 100 different products on the shelf so that you can sell to 1,000 different people, but as you grow, that becomes an impediment more than a plus. Would
Yes.
you?
Yeah, I do agree with that, especially as you're starting out. Everything has to be very meticulously crafted and put together so that way you don't overspend, stretch yourself too thin, end up running around in too many circles putting out fires because you have less than ideal scenarios working with varying customers that you probably shouldn't have taken on or services you shouldn't have sold. And now those are sucking up 80% of your time, but they're only bringing in 20% of your revenue.
Right.
So being very focused on, again, that original, and that's I'm working with clients who they've been in business for, say, 5 years. Say they've crossed the $1 million mark. Some of them have, some of them haven't. But they're what, and they'll call themselves this, they're serial entrepreneurs, where they're always coming up with the next best thing, the next best thing, but they never nail down the first thing. And that's part of my job when working with these people is just stop. Let's just focus. Why did you start what you started in the beginning? And let's document that whole journey first and align it with who cares about that. It might only be, say, our entire total addressable market is 100 people. We'll keep it simple. Out of that 100 people, maybe only two people actually really care about what it is that you put together and you want to bring to the market and that you're selling. So then those are the only two people that you should be targeting and setting your expectations that you're not going to be growing this business to $1 million because there's only two out of 100 people that actually care about what you put together. But let's
And
capture
assuming,
the, I'm sorry.
and assuming there's an ROI on that thing.
Exactly.
This is really cool. Nice.
That's great. Does it make you money?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, certainly not as simple as a lot of people think when they start. And I love what you said. Let me bring us back to the going beyond my existing network.
Hmm.
I know you do that with folks, and I know how we did at ITR. It was through Vistage, and Vistage was paid marketing, is what we used to call it, because we would be paid to talk in front of people. That's not something that most companies can do. Um, so you have to find new people to sell to all the time. And I don't think a lot of people pay a lot of attention to that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they think they'll find me as opposed to I have to go find them. Um, what do you think about all of that?
I think that's true to an extent, at least for my experience with working with folks so far has been the business owners realize when they've capped out of their people are coming to me, right? Because they're no longer hitting their finance. They've been growing. They're a startup, so they've been consistently growing, and now they've plateaued for long enough where they realize the well is somewhat dry, and they'll come to me mentality. And that's when they usually end up working with someone like myself to say, okay, Kim, like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't like, it's always been, I've been referred, and I feel like I've just maxed out of that referral scenario at this point. Um, there are the hard part with the answer to that is that it's not one thing. There is no silver bullet that keeps the leads coming your way or that keeps you front and center. But there are cost-effective ways to have a multi-channel strategy to keeping yourself relevant. So there are things like SEO is a huge thing right now. Everybody is asking AIs like your GPTs or your Geminis or whatever the case may be, um, questions. And they're all searching online now for, I'm thinking like in your retail sectors or your B2Cs or even your B2Bs, but like where, um, number one rated X like washing machine that costs under X amount of dollars. Like these are ways people are putting in questions online. Even like your HR directors, if they're struggling with culture in the company, and they're going to go online and they're going to research and say best ways to address X, Y, and Z issue in our company's culture. Like they're going to try to self-educate and figure out where they want to start their customer journey first. If you haven't focused on making sure you rank for those keywords and those questions that are applicable to your type of business, you're already missing out on natural leads coming your way because everybody is starting their search for whatever next thing they want to purchase online. Um, that's just
It,
one of the many areas.
it's not one thing will fit all people to reiterating a point, and it's just not one way to find those networks. It depends on your industry and if you've been in an existing business, you're a startup and all that kind of stuff. Do you like trade shows? Do you think trade shows are worthwhile?
It depends on the type of business and where they are in their journey. So I do have a few clients that I have recommended in our business plan for this year that they do at least two trade shows this year, but that's because of they're in the more manufacturing space, and that tends to be a common way for networking getting seen in the manufacturing space. So it depends. I also have other clients that do trade shows regularly because historically that's how everybody thinks of you when they have a need. It's like a staffing agency type situation, where I'm adjusting what they do when they go to these events to save on cost and still get the same benefit. So it depends on your type of business and where you are, and how sophisticated your systems are. Because if you have really sophisticated CRM system, there may be digital things that we can do together that would give you the same type of lead generation as a trade show. But if you don't, it might cost you 20 grand to put in the system versus the 3 grand to go to the trade show. So it kind of comes down to what do you have available. Because I'm also very frugal. I used to call myself cheap. I used to call myself very cheap, and I actually accredited it to you and Brian and saying anytime I wanted to spend a dollar, I had to prove I was going to make more than a dollar. Which gave me, and I appreciate that because it gives me that way of thinking, and also the stress and the anxiety of we had numbers to hit, and if we didn't hit those numbers, then I would feel like well, it's my fault we didn't hit those numbers, and therefore it's my fault that people didn't get raises this year or bonuses this year because it was my job to figure out how to bring in the money. Was how I felt and how I thought about it. And so I've told my clients that I'm cheap, and all of them at this point have told me, Kim, you're not cheap, you're just frugal. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a much better way to put it. Um, Wise with your money. Um, all right, so that person who's running out of network, there's a path, there are ways. It's not the same path, not the same way, but would you agree with me that it's the rare person that can do it on their own? They
Yes.
need,
Yes, when you had said in the beginning that one of the pieces of advice is that you need to change, what immediately popped into my head, if I were only allowed to give an entrepreneur starting out, so we were talking small business at this point and startups, because we were talking about the startups and
yep,
those rates. One piece of advice I would say is surround yourself with really smart people.
yeah, and mean it, not just say
Yeah.
it.
No, like and mean it. And surround yourself with somebody who's better at math. Surround yourself who's better at marketing. Somebody who's better at selling your good or your service. Somebody who's better at being honest with the circumstances that you find yourself in. Just surround yourself with a really good, strong network of people who are 100% honest with you all the time, and that you can turn to for advice.
Yes, absolutely so. And as you do that and develop your leadership skills, which that is certainly part of it, you have a chance of becoming what you want to become because this country provides you that opportunity, um, which is really exciting. I think of all the people who try and end up falling apart because they are lacking that roadmap. Begins with the plan, and then there's execution, which is its own set of things, growing a network, keeping your eye on who you are, what your goals are. All of that has to be wrapped up into one. And at the end of the day, you can build something that's worth $10 million dollars with an EBITDA will make up a number of $3 million dollars that you'll be able to sell for 12 to 15 million dollars, which will make for a very nice retirement or inheritance to your kids, or you can ESOP it to your employees, or you can do any number of things with that. But you'll build something of value while knowing that every step along the way, you are helping somebody else or some other company increase their value. And my God, there's a word for that. Oh yeah, it's called capitalism. Works pretty well.
I love it.
Interesting how that all works together. Um, I love the drive that a lot of people have. I just wish they would finish reading the driver's manual so
Mm.
they can get to where they want to go. And again, if somebody's happy at, I got my little shop and this is all I want in life, more power to you. And sometimes I look at those and I think maybe they're the right ones. They're so happy. And
Yeah, the lifestyle business. I can't say anything against that.
no, not at all. There's a lot to be said for that. More power to you. But even there, you got to be careful that you're keeping up with the times and have a steady client base because neighborhoods change, client base changes, so you still got to be paying attention.
Yep, most certainly. And with new technologies and everything else, you don't want to become irrelevant, which you can
That's where
be.
I'm heading. That's where I'm heading because new technologies and my iPhone got an upgrade the other night, and I was so angry. There's another month of my life learning a new iOS.
That's all right. I had well, you know, Ryan, my friend of mine, and he is encouraging me to move forward with this new technology, new to me technology, not new to the world, of using an iPad for my workshops that I run versus a PowerPoint presentation. Now, I've been using PowerPoint and just sharing my screen for decades now. So this is where I'm comfortable. This is what I know, but it does look so snazzy and it is a better experience for the people during the workshop because you can interact with them better and such on using this iPad. So I finally have opened myself up to Kim, you just need to practice. You can learn this if you just practice it and you can get up with the time. I'm not that old, just mid 40s. Like I can do this. Like, and so I go to Best Buy with Chloe this past weekend and I'm at Best Buy and I walk up and I said, "Where are your iPads?" I don't even know where to find them in the store. And he's like, "They're right over here, ma'am." And this young lad, and he takes me over there, and he's like, "What kind of iPad are you looking for?" And I was like, "The rectangle kind," because I don't know the differences between them. And I said, "This is what I want it to do. What do I need?" And so he's like, "They all do that, ma'am." I'm like, "Oh no, no, but it has to have like the pen where he draws on it and it syncs to his MacBook, and they all do that, ma'am." Like, so then why are there like 10 different kinds? Like, what are the differences between these? So I get it with technology, it's not easy, but it does make our jobs easier and it gives us a different, unique feel in the end, too. So just keep your clients and what they prefer in mind as you're going along too, I guess is,
And you just highlighted one of the keys we talked about, a willingness to change, adapt, grow.
yep,
Once you lose that, you've begun to slide, and
yep.
and you may plateau for a while, but it'll eventually tip over and decline, not rise. So that's key. Terrific. And did you buy an iPad, by the way?
I remembered that I had taken Chloe's away over the summer and I'm just using hers now.
That's good. I'm actually thinking about getting one too, but that's a different subject, and our listeners and viewers certainly don't need to to go through that. The main takeaways for me here, then, Kim, are to have a plan and pay attention to who your ICP, and tell me what ICP means again.
Ideal customer profile.
What that is, go after that person, and as you work your plan and know what you're chasing, remember who you are and what your goals are. Quality product, help people, that sort of thing. And that seems to me to be our main takeaways from today. And you can help, I know, with all that because you do that. That's what you do. And those that are listening, viewing, um, I would suggest that you take this to heart and ask yourself or your team, are we doing this? And if you're not doing it, why aren't you?
Yeah, and I do have, if anybody's interested, a checklist of those questions. Like, can we answer these questions? And if we can't, then there's a hole in our go-to-market strategy. So I have that I'm happy to share if anybody would like to see it. I think,
Is it free?
yeah, yeah, it's free. Yeah.
Glad I mentioned that.
Thank you. It's just, yeah, no, free of charge. There's no strings attached. I'm just here to help as many businesses as I can succeed. So I'm happy to share that out. A thought that comes to mind as a closing remark for me, in addition to agreeing, Dad, with everything that you just said, is if you feel like you are just throwing spaghetti at the wall, shooting from the hip, whatever the expression you want to use, and you're not gaining the traction that you feel like you should be gaining, you probably are. That tells me you do not have an intentional plan. You have ideas that you're trying out, and those are two different things. And I would encourage you to spend time even using GPT or Gemini or something and talking about the things we talked about today and asking for support there, even if it's not with me, because that can help you get started. So if you feel like you're just shooting from the hip, you probably are, and you're just operating with ideas, not intentional strategies.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, daughter. Appreciate all the time and talk.
Yeah, it was nice to see you. Thank you for picking this subject, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and look forward to speaking with you next week. Bye, Dad.
Bye, Kim.